Seth, in the immortal words of Hank Williams Jr., are you ready for some football?
I feel like I should be more excited than I am right now, to be honest.
How is that possible? Come on. You the whole summer, it's Olympics to you, and then it's like, oh, it's baseball. And now you got your college football. You got your football tonight, tomorrow, Sunday, Monday. Like, it's 4 days. Maybe it's because Carly's only allowing you to watch 2 of those games.
I don't think it's anything to do with Carly. No, I don't think it's that. I mean, look, I can always watch on my computer, so that's never really a big deal.
You have 1,000 TVs. If you can't,
I do. I literally do have 1,000 TVs. You know what it is, and I think this happens every year. The weather's still gorgeous out. Like, I don't want to be, and I love football when the weather is shit. When it's 75 degrees and there's not a cloud in the sky, do I really want to be sitting inside watching Sam Darnold versus Daniel Jones?
But at 8:30 at night on a Thursday? Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I want to.
Well, this is also a really good game.
It is. And it really does matter for us. Like, more importantly, it really does matter for us. Ladies and gentlemen, the Seth and Sean Sports Radio, we are welcome back for now our 11th season, right?
No, I think it's our 13th season.
I thought you had told me yesterday it was our 11th anniversary.
No, I think 20. No, I think I said it was our 12th, but that was like a Facebook thing, and that was the 1-year anniversary of when we started.
So welcome back for our 13th anniversary. Yep, 13.
What's changed in 13 years?
13 NFL seasons. That's where we are. What's changed in 13 NFL seasons? Well, I mean, we had Aaron Rodgers 13 years ago, so not much. We
got him cheaper. We got him cheaper this year.
We didn't have to pay $75 for him this time. But yeah, welcome back. Look, when Seth and I started this program 13 years ago, we started our first fantasy football league together as well. Different league, different rules, same quarterbacks.
We have gone through a lot of Clausens and McCowns and.
The funny thing is, when we started this, though, Bryce Young was in 7th grade, and now he's on our team. So just want to throw that out.
No, he was younger than that.
So I'm thinking Bryce Young's probably 25.
I would think he'd be younger.
Well,
he's only in the second year.
13 is 7th grade.
Hold on. Let's take
How old is Bryce Young? I think he's like 24, 25, no?
He's 23.
All right, so he was in 5th or 6th grade.
He was almost as old. He was 2 years older than my son.
Yeah. And Aaron Rodgers was an MVP, and you know what? If the Jets make the playoffs, he may very well be the MVP again.
Do you think the Jets are making the playoffs?
I think the Jets are making the AFC Championship game. I got some bold predictions for us, and every time I make a bold prediction, there's a torn Achilles. There's a torn ACL. There's a arthroscopic shoulder surgery that happens to somebody.
Don't worry. He goes down. Easton Stick is available.
No, Tyrod Taylor this year is available, and it's not Zach Wilson. I'm much more and yes, Easton Stick is available. But anyway, we also have Geno, and we have Bryce Young. Look, we protected ourselves this year. But last year we didn't protect ourselves and we still won. So really, Joe Flacco's still available too.
I heard rumors.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell you that. So anyway, welcome back, everybody. We have our NFL preview today. Fantasy football drafts are in the rear mirror.
All 5 of them for me, including something I have never done before,
and will never do again.
Depends if my kids get sick again, and my wife doesn't feel like driving at 7:30. So I did one of my drafts. She's not watching or listening. You think she cares?
No, I like to point out that this only happens on fantasy night every year. Every year. Every year.
Although to be fair, the kids there was a sick issue. Like this.
No. I get that, but but if we're being frank, and we know that your wife is not watching, which there's no chance in hell that she is watching this program.
No.
Her bluster happens annually. You can mark it on your calendar that she is going to throw a fit one day a year. You could put it on the calendar. It is the day that we have our fantasy football draft.
Yes.
It goes back a decade. It is every single year. I can mark it. And last night, she was apologizing left or right. And I'm like, Carly, you don't have to apologize. Just go away. Like, we're good. I don't need it. I don't need it. And there's only one time a year that I know for $1 Seth's throwing something up, and she's okay with that. One day a year.
Just one day.
One day more. Anyway, okay. Give me a hot take on this year. Give me an NFL hot take. One right now. We'll go through the predictions in a second, but give me a hot take.
First coach fired, Mike McCarthy.
I don't know if that's so much of a hot take. It's definitely Jerry Jones. I mean,
okay.
Something. So my hot take is the Philadelphia Eagles don't make the playoffs. That's my hot take. That I don't think.
Then Nick Sirianni's the first coach fired.
That may very well be too, but I don't think that division is really bad.
Yeah, it's gone from really good to really bad really quick.
And I think that, and we'll get into the NFC East in a second, but I think there is a glossing over, if you will, over the changes that have been made in Philadelphia for willingly or not. Like Jason Kelsey's retirement was obviously not something that they wanted to happen. But when you lose a Hall of Fame center, who is the architect of the tush push, the first time that the tush push fails, it's Jalen Hurts is the worst quarterback of all time and we miss Jason Kelsey, right? That will inevitably happen in Philadelphia because it's going to happen in Philadelphia. And it may happen tomorrow night. And I think they lose tomorrow night in Brazil to Green Bay. And I think they go 9-8 or 8-9 and don't make the playoffs. I think the winner of that division is 9-8.
Okay.
And I don't think it's the Giants. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, you think it's the Cowboys. You think it's the Cowboys.
I think it's got to be the Cowboys if it's not the Eagles. And it could be the Commanders. I mean, 9-8 is not really a huge throw, right? I mean, you're not an upper echelon team at 9-8. So could the Commanders make that move? If Jaden Daniels is that guy, then yeah, they can make that move in 1 year to 9-8. I mean, is it foreseeable? Probably not. But do they have the pieces in place to do it? I think they do. To go 9-8. I'm not talking about going 12-5. I'm talking 9-8. I'm talking practice.
You're talking practice.
Talking practice. So, yeah, I think if that happens and the Commanders win that division, well, Dan Quinn is the coach of the year.
Could very well be. I disagree. I think the Eagles do make the playoffs. I think they win the division. But again, I think they'll be better. I think they'll be better than you do. And apparently he was so annoyed by that comment that he decided to log out.
No, I hit the crop button by accident. Well, no, I agree. Look, I can see it either way. 9-8 gets you on the road in round one, right?
Yes.
As a are you on the road? No, you
win the division.
You play against the number one wild card. How's that? So, all right. So let's get into it. So I got the Cowboy. I want to save the last 10 minutes for something because it makes me laugh. So I want to talk about something that's making me laugh. So I got the Cowboys at 9-8. I got the Eagles at 8-9. The Giants at 6-11. And let's put the Commanders at 7-10. I don't think they'll win, but they'll go. They're going to beat the Giants.
Okay.
And they're just going to beat the crap out of each other. Like the whole division is just going to beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah, I have an Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, Commanders.
Okay.
I'm not going to give records because inevitably it's not like I've picked every game. Say the Eagles around 10-7, give or take.
Okay, so you have them with double-digit wins.
Yes.
First round out?
Probably.
Jalen Hurts is better or worse than last year?
Better than last year, worse than 2 years ago.
Can we establish that 2 years ago was the anomaly, not the real?
We'll find out this year.
I think you're going to find that. I think you're going to find that we had the Nick Foles year of Jalen Hurts, and now what you saw last year is probably
you mean the Carson Wentz year?
Or the Nick Foles year, either one.
Nick Foles never had a great year. He just won a Super Bowl.
I thought he had one good year where he threw for like one interception. He went 19 touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
It does actually sound familiar, though. I'm not sure with which team. I don't know if he did that with the Eagles.
Looking it up now. Hold on. Hold, please. Touchdown. He went 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions with Philadelphia in 2013. That is the Nick Foles year. He went 8-2. Look at me pulling out Nick Foles stats.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the Central.
That was his only Pro Bowl, by the way. He went 29-29 in his career. By the way, while we're throwing out stuff, 29-29. How much money do you think he made?
$80-90 million.
You made a boatload because of that Jacksonville contract, right?
Yeah.
Hold on. Oh, maybe they don't have it on. They don't have it on Pro Football Reference like they used to. I guess they took that away. Anyway, I know he made a boatload of money. Anyway, so okay. So I have a feeling that you're going to see Jalen Hurts come down. He's not an MVP candidate to me. He's not even close. I think that his best year. Giants, how many games over under does Daniel Jones play in?
He plays around 10 or 11. They bench him.
And they pull him or he gets hurt?
They pull him. They're around 4. Again, I don't memorize the schedule, so let me take a quick look at their schedule. I think it's brutal early on. Vikings, okay, well, that's not brutal. Commanders is not brutal. Browns, Cowboys, Seahawks, Bengals, Eagles is pretty brutal. Steelers.
Their bye week is November 17th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Week 11 is their bye week.
So it's not week 12 like every other team?
My point is, coming out of week 11, is he the quarterback?
Depends. And the reason it depends is very simple. They can cut him after this year with de minimis impact. But if he's injured, they can't.
Correct.
So if they are 6-5 and relevant, they're not going to do it. If they're 3-8, you might as well play Drew Lock, excuse me, definitely not Andrew Luck, Drew Lock, and see what you got. Which is an incredibly depressing way to look at the team, but the team is mired in lower to low end mediocrity at best.
What is the record in which you do not bubble wrap Daniel Jones?
How many games in?
11. Let's say you're at the bye. You can't. I think that's the only time you're making this decision is at that bye. Because you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 7 games left after the bye.
You have If you they have 10 games in. So they're 10 games in?
10 games in. It's week 11.
Probably 4-6.
So if they're greater than 4 and 6.
If they're 4 and 6 or greater, they're probably not going to do it.
Okay.
If they're under 4 and 6, although Dable there'll be a lot of criticism that they're tanking. But what are you going to do? Because it's hard. I mean, it's hard for the players to play with motivation when you're benching your quarterback. And the line for the line is actually relatively decent. They have receivers. The running backs leave a bit to be desired. So look, he hasn't had a fair run to really see what he could do with good talent surrounding. But he's also made over $100 million. So,
I mean, their last 7 games are at home against the Bucks, at Dallas, home against the Saints and the Ravens, away against the Falcons, home against the Colts, at the Eagles. I can see them favored in 1, maybe 2. Maybe, I mean, I guess it depends on how the Bucks play. The Falcons play. I mean, the Bucks and Falcons and Saints are the only ones that they're going to be legitimately favored in.
They may be favored against Indy.
Okay.
Indy plays in a dome.
I'm a big fan of Indy. I think if Anthony Richardson stays healthy.
First of all, let's see Anthony Richardson stay healthy.
Yep.
Second of all, they're playing in a dome all year. And then they're going to be playing on December 29th in the Giant Stadium, which will be like 20 degrees with snow.
Fair enough. Well, if Daniel Jones isn't playing, they're certainly not going to be favored. Yeah, you're not going to be favored with Drew Lock there.
Probably not.
And by that point, you'll know, right? I would hope. Okay. All right. My next question is Dak Prescott signed before the end of next year? Before the end of this year. Before the end of the season.
Yes.
I think he's going to be signed in the next 3 days.
Probably.
Okay, moving on to the NFC North. Okay. How many games did the Vikings win without J.J. McCarthy?
4.
Wow. And is one of them against the Giants in week 1?
Probably. I just think the division's tough. Detroit is a Super Bowl contender. Green Bay is a Super Bowl contender. Chicago is much improved. I mean, I had to see what again, it's hard without. They're playing the AFC East, which is not – they're playing the Jets. They're not really playing the AFC East. Actually, I take it back. I'll give them about 6 wins.
Who, the Bears?
No, I'll give the Bears about 7 or 8 wins.
Oh, you're saying the Vikings you're giving 6 wins. Remember, there's 17 games now. So you're going 6 and 11.
They play the AFC South, which is not overwhelmingly difficult. But yeah, well, look, this is Darnold. This is Darnold's shot.
Yep.
You have a running back.
You have
a defensive offensive line.
You have 2 great receivers.
2? You want
to
say
Addison played great last year when Jefferson was out.
I wouldn't say he's great, but yeah, you have Addison.
You'll have T.J. Hawkinson come back week 4.
Yeah. You have 1 year to determine whether you can ever be a starter in this league. Yep. Whether it's with Minnesota or not based upon the contract that they signed based on them having J.J. McCarthy.
Yep.
You got your year.
And to be fair, a backup quarterback makes a good amount of money anyway. Just go ask Chase Daniels.
Yep.
Or ask Jason Garrett. I picked up on something that you just said. You just said Green Bay is a Super Bowl contender. You truly believe that no number 1 wideout on that team. No.
Yeah, but you don't know if one will.
No, I'm saying going into the season, there's no number 1 wideout. Their tight end is not a pass catcher, right?
Yes, he is.
Luke Musgrave caught like 35 balls last year.
He was a rookie. Let's give him some leeway.
No, my point is going in, they have no proven guys that can catch the ball. No proven guys.
They had a variety of guys.
They did.
Wicks, Dobbs, Watson.
Yep. Jaden Reed. Yeah.
Reed.
And you know what they say when you have a bunch of guys? You have no number 1. There their leading receiver last year, and I understand, I know where you're coming from with regards to these guys who are all first or second year players, but they do have to make that leap. Their leading receiver last year was Jaden Reed with 64 catches and 800 yards. Second was Dobbs with 59 catches and 674 yards. Musgrave had 34 catches and 352 yards. They lost Aaron Jones, who was a pass catcher, and picked up Josh Jacobs, who's not a pass catcher.
They also drafted Marshawn Lloyd.
They did, but they're only going to play one who's also hurt and probably.
Yeah, but he'll be back by week 2.
I'm just saying. I was a little surprised by your statement of a Super
Was
Bowl
any
contender.
team playing better in the NFC than the Packers were in the playoffs?
Yeah, but you're basing that on one game, 2 games.
No, you're basing it on 2 or 3 games.
Okay.
They were played well at the end of the year. They played amazingly against Dallas, and they should have beat Francisco.
They did, and I just told you how much I think Dallas is any good, right? I don't.
I gathered that.
I mean, I will tell you, their last four games, I won't say are hard. They have at Seattle. Okay, that's a difficult game. It's on a Sunday night. Versus New Orleans at home, so they play a dome team in Green Bay in December. Yes, please. You play at Minnesota, which by that point Sam Darnold may be benched, and who knows what they're doing. And they play at home against Chicago on January 5th. Wow, January 5th is still regular season football. Oh, welcome to 17, maybe 18. Look, next year, you're in a couple of years, if you're college football, you better be running because the NFL is coming for your Labor Day weekend because it absolutely will happen. The NFL will come to Labor Day, no question. Then they could have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, like they could have the whole week. Okay. I will pick in the same order you did: Detroit, Green Bay, Chicago, Minnesota. I don't think Chicago is going to be that good. I think you said 7 wins, 8 wins.
Yeah.
I think it'll be more like 6. I think they have a great offense. I think their defense is lacking tremendously.
Oh, remember they drafted they signed Sweat to an extension.
Yep.
They brought in one of the big defensive ends to rush. I forget who. They'll be better.
This is a growth team. This is a growth. Yeah. This is year 1, right? And to be fair, as we once say in Letterkenny, when was the last time that 3 Bear wide receivers went in any fantasy league draft?
The Sid Luckman era?
If that, I mean,
I don't think they had fantasy football.
I'm just saying, right? When's the last time a Bear quarterback went in the first 5 rounds? Jay Cutler. That was it.
He had a 2 QB lead.
Yeah. Okay. NFC South. So this is a disaster of a division. Absolutely disastrous. I want to take the Falcons to win. I really do. I'm going to take the Falcons to win because I don't see anything here. I don't see the Bucs as a good team. I mean, I see a whole lot of average here. I don't see anybody that's going. I think you're going to have the NFC East and the NFC South are going to be very similar. You'll have maybe 10-7, 9-8 win the division. They're all just going to beat the crap out of each other. I do think Carolina will win at least 6 games this year. I think everybody's going to be like this. I don't think you're going to have those 4-win teams in this division.
So I agree. I have it Atlanta, Tampa, New Orleans, Carolina.
Yeah.
And I could see New Orleans falling below Carolina and Dennis Allen being out of a job really quick.
And Derek Carr being given the Daniel Jones bubble wrap treatment.
Yep, but they have they have Spencer Rattler, who they like a lot.
All right. So is Spencer Rattler going to prevent you from drafting Quinton Ewers next year? Quincy Ewers.
Quinn Ewers. Don't know. It's not like you have a Caleb Williams or a Jaden Daniels at this point. Look, Jaden Daniels wasn't Jaden Daniels going into
Correct.
last year either. So the number one QB there's three right now. There's Carson Beck, Shedeur Sanders,
Yep,
and Quinn Ewers. So the three consensus top quarterbacks going in. Usually you end up with 4 or 5 that go in the first round. And the Raiders are going to want one. The Giants are going to want one. I'm sure there's other teams. I mean,
you can see Seattle wanting one too.
What do you say?
Seattle and the Rams, perhaps. The Rams may not re-sign Stafford.
That is true. Tennessee may want one, depending on how Levis is this year. Pittsburgh may. Although I think Pittsburgh may, but that's a division of a different color. All right, so the NFC South is probably the weakest division in football to me.
All right, NFC West. Niners are still the class of this division.
It's still San Francisco until it's not. This is probably the apex of their. This is it. It's win or done, I think, for this team. Because you have to sign Purdy to a contract, which means you're going to lose unless you think you can bring in anybody to do this.
Well, you can sign Purdy to you can sign Purdy to that contract and keep his you can keep his cap number low next year and have it balloon in the future once, say, Trent Williams goes off, right? Which is
he just signed a 3-year deal.
I know, but I'm saying you push it to 2 years from now. So, by the way, Purdy, his extension wouldn't kick in until 2026. So he's got one more year.
Okay.
So next year, so he's eligible for an extension after this year. But remember, it's an extension. So they can either rip up the last year or they can extend based on the end of the year, at the end of it. And it's not an option. It's an actual contract. So you can either rip it up or you can just say, we're extending. And so the extension would kick in 2026 if they went that route. So you just add years.
Who is your number 2 in the West?
My number 2 in the West. My number 2 in the West is Arizona. I know it is I know it's hard to go that route, but again, I think
no, it's not.
I'm not a fan of Seattle. I'm not really a fan of the Rams. I'm not a fan of the defense on the Rams. I'm not a fan of the offense on Seattle, although I got a man crush on DK Metcalf, but I don't believe in Kenneth Walker staying healthy. I never have. Geno Smith, while we are banking a lot on him in our fantasy league, don't do that. You had every opportunity to add more dollars. You just didn't. You didn't press the button. You had your hand on the button at the same time I did. You were adding dollars. Could have done it. Could have done. No. I'm not taking this one. I'll take
solid. To be fair, a solid fantasy draft for us.
We got an A from ESPN.
I got a D in one of my leagues from ESPN.
I understand. Hold on. Before we go any further with this Michigas, which is exactly what this is all garbage. Our strategy has won how many times?
4 titles and 3 runners-up, I think.
In 12 years.
Yes.
7 out of 12 we have made the championship game with our strategy. So I get that a couple more dollars could have been spent on Matt Stafford. I get it. And you could have spent a couple more dollars on Tyreek Hill. I get all that. And I know that we wound up with $10.
Well, we wound up with $10 because we kind of bullshitted game players at the end.
All right. So we would have wound up with $18. Fine. Okay. Next year, put your finger on the button and press the button. I don't have any problem with
that. I
had
crying kids. It was a little hard.
Not at the end, you did not. Not at the end.
Not for the Stafford.
Not for Stafford.
Okay,
All right.
let's keep going because I have to.
Right.
I have a hard stop at 5:30.
That's fine. Look, Arizona's offense, if Kyler Murray stays healthy, is definitely the second best and may top San Francisco if they get a second wideout. I think Kyler Murray is a better quarterback than Matt Stafford right now. I think the offensive line is better than the Rams right now. So their offense may be better. And then it's all banking on the defense, which nobody knows what they're bringing in any of these teams.
Aeneas Williams is not walking through that door.
Nor is Larry Wilson.
Nice.
Thank you. Neil Lomax isn't either. I could pull out a
They
bunch.
don't need Neil Lomax.
They need Hugh Green.
No, he was Tampa.
Darn it. All right. Over to the AFC. First of all, do you think what's the score of Monday night's game? 49ers Jets.
31-26.
I'm waiting for a victor.
I'll give you the win.
I am thinking we're going to win this game. But truth be told, we won last year's first game too.
You did.
But we really lost last year's first game. But we lost. I would, and as it turned out, it would have been better just to lose and lose that game too. I think we win, and that goes to the Jets here. This is me going out on my homer win, and I think the Jets win this division this year. I think it's Jets, Bills, Dolphins, Patriots. Patriots, I am happy to report I do not believe will be more than 4-13. And I will relish every loss that they have. To all you Patriots fans that are watching, you had your time. You had your time.
You had your decades.
Yes, you did. But you had your time, and now welcome back to the rest of the world. And look, I think 6 years ago, I said on this show, I wrote a letter that said that Tom Brady was the best player in NFL history. It is actually on our website, signed and scanned in. And the last 2 years have just made that more and more apparent, right? Because Belichick had every opportunity to do what he wanted to do, and he couldn't replicate the magic without Tom Brady. It's that simple. That's why he's no longer the coach of the New England Patriots. Welcome to the party, Jared Mayo.
I have Miami, Jets, Bills, Patriots.
Do you think the Bills are going to take a real tumble? It's weapons, right? You don't see the weapons.
They lost their secondary.
They lost their middle linebacker.
Their middle linebacker. Nobody knows what you have in wide receivers.
True.
Cook is a good player, but not a bell. Is not proven to be a bell cow.
You know, the funny thing is, you do know what you have in their wide receivers. That's the problem. You have Curtis Samuel, right? Who's a
gadget guy,
and who's never ever been able to stay healthy, ever in either team. You know, you have a rookie in Keon Coleman, right? Who may be athletic, but who knows what you're getting there. Of their last year, they lost 160 targets of Stefan Diggs, 81 targets of Gabe Davis, and they have their top wideout coming back is Khalil
Shakir, yeah,
who had 45 targets last year, 45 out of a total of 545. And you add Curtis Samuel and you add the rookie Keon Coleman. So if you're looking for fantasy, I don't know if you're drafting at 5:05 on Thursday, but anyway.
I sure as hell hope not.
It's Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox for the win because I don't know who else they're throwing to either. So I'll go with that. But you are definitely seeing a decline in this team.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Okay. All right. The AFC North. This is an I know you use the word interesting all the time. This is an interesting division to me because I could see, quite frankly, anybody but the Steelers winning.
Agreed.
And you have a team that I think is very solid with Baltimore, right? You have a team that I think that is very solid with Cincinnati. If Zach Moss and Chase Brown pick up the pieces at the running back. And you have the biggest boomer bust team I have realized in a very long time in Cleveland. Where if Deshaun Watson is 3 years ago's Deshaun Watson, which I believe he still can be, this team could easily win this division. This team has a defense that can win this division. Last year, Holy Joe Flacco wins us a title, but does not win them a division because he's not the type of quarterback that he's not the type of quarterback that this team needs. Deshaun Watson, a mobile Deshaun Watson, not a massage Deshaun Watson, a mobile Deshaun Watson is the guy that they need. And if they get him, then this team can win. But I don't see it yet. I'm going to pick Baltimore to win the division, Cincinnati number 2, Cleveland 3, Pittsburgh 4. And you?
Cincy, Baltimore, Cleveland, Pittsburgh.
How many games does Russell Wilson start? Actually, let me rephrase. How many games does Justin Fields start?
Well, same idea.
Well, yeah, maybe.
I think they have to make a determination whether they pick up his 5th-year option, correct?
They have to do that already before the season.
Okay, they're not going to do it then.
But they can always franchise him after if they want. It's a 1-year deal, right?
Yeah, I know. And I know your feelings on 1-year deals. I think Wilson will start 10 or 11. We'll start about, I don't know. I don't. I have no feel because their offensive line is garbage. Their running backs are not great. Other than Pickens, no one is confident in their wideouts. I mean, Freiermuth is decent. I don't know who wins there.
So their bye week is week 9?
Yeah, that seems about right.
Which is the end of October. So it's basically halfway through the season, right? So if you wanted to flip, what record would Russell Wilson have to have in order to be benched at 9 games after week 8?
2-6.
2-6.
2-6.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we've talked about a couple of these quarterbacks, Derek Carr, Daniel Jones. There is a very, very big difference between the Pittsburgh situation and that which is within New Orleans and New York, and it must be addressed. New York and New Orleans, if their quarterback gets hurt, they cannot cut them without penalty. So they would absorb next year's salary. And in Daniel Jones, that's about $25 to $30 million. And I believe it's the same in Derek Carr. So you want to bench these players because you want to, quote, bubble wrap them so they don't get hurt. Because if they do, you're stuck with that money going forward. Russell Wilson was cut by Denver. He doesn't have that problem. He's on a 1-year deal for $1.3 million, whether he gets hurt or not. Justin Fields is in the last year of his contract. Does not matter. He may be earning $7.5 million, which I think is what he is earning, somewhere around there. But if he gets hurt, it doesn't matter. So when we say, when will you bench Russell Wilson, that would strictly be because of production. That would not be because you're trying to bubble wrap the player to prevent it from next year. Okay.
Agreed.
Okay. Just throwing that out there since we talk about benching. Okay, the AFC South. Yes, I'm going to pick the Texans to win this division. That is a first. I've never done that. So I will pick the Texans, the Jaguars, the Colts, and the Titans. Although I could flip the Colts and the Jaguars.
I can flip any of these teams. I mean, look, how high were we on Jacksonville last year going in?
Very, very.
I mean, and they pretty much
They kaputzed.
Yeah. I mean, I think you kind of have to go Houston, Jacksonville, Indy, Tennessee. But could I see Jacksonville winning the division? Absolutely. Could I see Indy winning the division? Absolutely.
Can you see Tennessee winning the division?
No. I can see them being a pain in the ass. Their line is better. Their defense, I believe, is better.
Their wideouts.
Sneeds.
Well, their wideouts, they redid all right. They got Ridley.
They got Ridley.
Hopkins.
I mean, yeah, like there is talent. It's Will Levis's team. Win or go home, dude. Win or go home.
Well, is it fair for this 1 year, win or go home?
You're now in your second year.
Yeah.
You have a better line, better receivers. You don't have a better running back, obviously. But it is your turn to try and lead.
What's win or go home for him though? Because what causes Tennessee to say I need a Quincy Ewers or I have a Will Levis? Because you don't say this to Trevor Lawrence, who if he has
Trevor Lawrence signed a $250 million contract.
No. I get that. So Trevor Lawrence is last year. Trevor Lawrence did not have a great last year, right?
No,
stats wise, he had a decent last year, but he didn't have a great last. He certainly did not take that step, right?
No way.
He did not. So he had a 65% completion percentage, which is normal these days. He threw for 4,000 yards, 21 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, a rating of 88.5. If Will Levis does that get him another year, even if the team goes 6-11?
Yeah, probably. Again, it may also be if they're in the middle of the pack, the division is difficult. And there may not be a quarterback. They're not going to be 3-14, I don't think. I don't think they're that kind of team where you're going to be able to get Sanders or Beck.
Well, and I think that's my question. What is win or go home? What gets the
show a noticeable improvement?
Okay, well, I mean, starting from last year, he doesn't have that far to go to show any improvement. I mean,
no, he had one or two really good games, but he had some lousy one.
So last year he goes for 1,800 yards. Remember, we just talked about Lawrence throwing for 4,000. So he doubled the production. He only played 9 games. So, I mean, double the production.
You get 3,500, 36.
Right? He went 8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions for a rating of 84. And I believe Lawrence's was 88. So, I mean, I get what you're saying. He's got to improve.
You can get off of his contract much easier.
Oh, absolutely. It's a second year. It's a second-year contract. Second round contract, where I believe it's a 4-year, $9 million. I mean, it's nothing. It's $1 million.
Right. So, I mean, you traded Malik Willis.
Yeah.
So there's no real backup there at this point. So
either way, they're not getting off of this contract. He'll just become the backup.
Yes, he'd become the backup.
Just got 2 more years at under a cap hit of under $2.5 million.
Yeah, they're
not getting rid of this guy.
You don't cut a quarterback at that rate. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, AFC West. Hello, Kansas City, and a whole bunch of shit.
Pretty much.
I mean, that's really it, right? I mean, I loved the Raiders last year. I'm not going to fall for that trap again. I loved the Chargers last year. I'm not going to fall for that trap again.
I love the Chargers.
I definitely did not like the Broncos last year, and I'll go with that again.
Yeah. I mean, it's Kansas City. I mean, I think the Chargers have a long way to go. I'll go Kansas City, Denver, Raiders, Chargers.
So Chargers finished last. Jim Harbaugh has an $8 million salary. He's not going more than that. He's not going anywhere. So your last place teams, if I hit this correctly, are coached by Jim Harbaugh, Brian Callahan, Mike Tomlin, Jared Mayo, Dan Quinn, Kevin O'Connell, David Canales, and Mike McDougal. Mike McDowell? Who's in Seattle?
Mike McDonald had a farm.
McDonald. Are any of those head coaches fired after this year?
Harbaugh, no. Callahan, no. Tomlin, probably not. Mayo, no. Quinn, no. O'Connell, no.
Canales isn't going to get fired after 1 year.
No. And
McDonald's
not either.
Get fired. So you'll have 8. I don't know if this has ever happened. You'd have 8 last place teams, and not one of them would have a coach fired.
Yep. That's why about half of them are new this year because of this situation.
Yeah. All right. So give me your playoff teams in the NFC, please. You got 7.
Philly, Dallas, Detroit, Green Bay, Atlanta, San Francisco, Rams.
Okay. I will go Dallas, Detroit, Green Bay, Atlanta, Niners, Arizona. I say because all these teams are
Yep.
I'm going to go Tampa Bay, number 7.
Sure.
I don't like any of them. NFC Championship game, assuming all seeds go the way that they are, I will put – you know what? I'm going to put Arizona against San Francisco. And San Francisco to make it out. I think Detroit will be on the same side as San Francisco. And then that
I got
will
you.
work.
I'll have a rematch, Detroit, San Francisco. I will go with San Francisco as well. Not very exciting.
And the Lions fans once again will bemoan the Seth and Sean Sports Radio picks. Okay, in the AFC, the Jets, the Bills, the Bengals, the Ravens. This is much easier. The Texans, the Broncos. It's not that much easier. And I'll take the fish. So 3 teams in the AFC East.
You planning on picking the Chiefs?
I picked the Chiefs. The Chiefs. I meant the Chiefs, not the Broncos. Excuse me. I meant the Chiefs, not the Broncos. I am definitely not picking Bo Nix to go to the playoffs in year 1. With wide receivers Cortland Sutton and Marvin Mims. Okay, what do you got for the AFC?
Dolphins, Jets, Bengals, Ravens, Texans, Jaguars, Chiefs.
Okay, so you went, instead of the Bills, you have the Jaguars. That's where your changes.
Yep.
I think you're going to have the Jets. If you pray for it, if you believe it, it will come. If you believe it, it will come. I am going to have Robert Saleh's old team playing Robert Saleh's current team in the Super Bowl. And the 49ers playing the Jets. Where is the Super Bowl this year?
I don't know. You'll be buying a hotel room pretty quick, though.
My God. Hold on. Super Bowl.
Who do the Jets beat? Who do the Jets beat in the AFC Championship?
It is in New Orleans. Hey, you know the last time I was in New Orleans for a championship, right?
I do. It was the happiest moment of your life.
It was definitely the happiest moment of my life. It was 2003 and Syracuse beat Kansas. Oh my! And it's within driving distance. I don't even have to take a flight.
There you go.
That will be such an expensive weekend.
Who were you beating in the AFC Championship?
The Chiefs. It's the only. I don't think the Jets would beat the Ravens. So I'm going to have them beat.
I actually think that's a good matchup for the Jets because the Ravens' offensive line is not great, and the one thing the Jets can certainly rush the passer.
Right. The Jets are going to bank on their defense 100 times out of 100, right? And the hope is that you play a decent defense, not a great defense. And without Ladarius Sneed, I'd love to play the Chiefs rather than play. I'll put my defense up against Mahomes, which is really a one Pacheco's nice, but he's not Derrick Henry, and I'll put him up against that team. Okay, and you, my friend, where are you?
Bengals over the Chiefs.
And then, so the Bengals are going to the 49ers in a rematch of 1981 and 89.
And the third time is the charm.
Hey,
Bengals
give me some credit for 1981. That was a pretty good pull with Kenny Anderson.
There you go. The freezing game against San Diego.
Kenny Anderson and then John Taylor in 1989. And third time's the charm, and you're picking Cincinnati to win it with Zach Moss and Chase Brown as their.
That's okay. And T. Higgins goes out on a fond note.
As does maybe Jamar Chase too.
Yeah, they'll have to pay Jamar Chase after that.
They'll pay him like they paid Chad Ochocinco, except a lot more Cincos
to
get that done. All right, 10 minutes left. So I'm watching college football this past weekend, as one does.
Be still my heart.
Yeah, and I see, and I hearken back to a couple of months ago, where there were 2 lawsuits against the ACC because my teams are better than everybody else in the ACC, and I should get more money because my teams are better than everybody else in the ACC. Those 2 teams were Florida State and Clemson, who believe that they were better than everybody else in the ACC and deserved to be out of their contractual obligation and hopefully join the SEC or some other or the Big Ten. More likely the SEC than any of the others. Well, Florida State went and spent $12 million on NIL money, including getting a 5-star quarterback from Oregon. And they go and promptly lose to Georgia Tech, who Syracuse happens to play on Saturday at noon, who is not a very good team. And then they went and lost, and I don't even know who they lost in the second game, but they lost. Oh, Boston College.
Boston College.
They lost to Tom O'Brien. Welcome back.
Bill O'Brien.
It's Bill O'Brien. Sorry. I thought it was welcome back Tom O'Brien. That would have been even better, but they like their O'Briens up in Boston College and the Irish town that they are. Welcome back to Mr. O'Brien. And so now Florida State, who 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks ago says, I want out because I'm so much better than everybody else, is out of the top 25. They are 0-2. Their quarterback has thrown for approximately 350 yards combined in the 2 games and 38 points combined in the 2 games after going 12-0 last year. It couldn't have happened to a nicer team. And then Clemson, because Debo Sweeney decides, let's not use the transfer portal. He reminds me of Bobby Knight in this respect, yes. Right? Where he's coaching in a different era. I mean, Nick Saban realized that and said, I want none of this. Vegas style, I'm out. I think Dabo's going to be following him real soon unless he figures that part out.
Oh, I'm not sure he's gonna do that, but considering he has about an $80 million contract after winning 2 championships. But yeah, he doesn't believe in transfers. He doesn't believe in the portal. I don't believe he believes in NIL. Look, I wish that was true also. It's not the world we live in.
He and Kyrie Irving,
teams are paying for it.
He and Kyrie Irving could have a nice conversation about a lot of things. Okay, last 5 minutes. It is September 5th, and that means baseball season. And believe it or not, the Yankees are in the playoffs, which, as of right now, no surprise. And who is a half a game back out of the proverbial third wild card? The Yankees are 4.5 up in the first wild card. Half a game behind in the third wild card at 76 and 64 are your New York Mets, or my New York Mets. So while I have great aspirations for my Jets, I have great aspirations for my 1-0 Syracuse Orange, and I have my great aspirations for the New York Mets being a half a game behind. This will be the only week that I have all three, so I might want to enjoy it for right now. And I bid you adieu. With that, Seth, take it away.
It's been, I think, 19 years since the Americans had a man in the U.S. Open final. We're going to have one after Taylor Fritz plays Frances Tiafoe tomorrow. 2 U.S. women make the semifinals, I think, tonight. Jessica Pegula beats Swiatek, #1 player in the world. Emma Navarro onto the semis. It's been a long time since you can say a hell of a showing by the Americans in the U.S. Open. But way to go. And Queens will be rocking, as my wife said, when she went Monday night to watch the hottie, as she likes to call them.
So while Seth is watching Monday Night Football, Carly will be watching a sporting event, which I think is actually a win for you. Any sporting event is a win for you.
It is. I'll take it.
Yeah, so we'll take that. All right. For Seth Kamens, this is Sean Palmer. We'll see you next week with where we are. And let's go Jets, Jets. No, I will not say just end the season. Not yet.